It's strange to realize a single TV show has been part of your life for 25 years. I guess I could say the same for The Simpsons, but with that one I fell off. I'll check in on a random new episode now and then, but these days there are probably more episodes I haven't seen than ones I have. Sure, I'll fall asleep to a classic batch of episodes from the 90s on Disney Plus, but I'm not following it anymore. That's the thing about long-running shows. They start to feel like background noise, like cultural wallpaper. They're still there, but they're not really yours anymore. If you ask me for my favorite show of all time, gun to my head, I'd probably say The Sopranos. But I only discovered that one maybe 10 years ago. I was too young during its initial run. I was aware of it because every adult around me was talking about it, but it wasn't my show yet. Even Saturday Night Live has been a constant in my life, off and on. I've had sketches where I loved it and sketches where I couldn't stand it. But during the pandemic, something changed. It became comforting. Even when it was bad, and let's be real, that's most of the time, I stuck with it. But here's the truth. There's no single show I've followed as closely for as long as South Park. I'll never forget my introduction. Second grade, fall of 1999. Peak Pokemania. I was obsessed with Pokemon. Cards, games, the show, the whole thing. One day at lunch, some kids were talking about this cartoon called South Park. They had just seen an episode called Shin Pokemon, which parodied Pokemon. They thought it was hilarious. Now these kids probably had older brothers, or parents who didn't care if they stayed up late. Me, I was the oldest in my family. No TV in my room, no internet at home yet. Even if I tried to find online, my family's old computer probably couldn't have handled it. But the idea of a Pokemon parody, that lit me up. I was the kind of kid who got excited about the Mad Magazine parody. So any comedy aimed at this thing I loved, I wanted it. That was my first brush with South Park, but it would be a couple years before I actually saw it. Instead, I was allowed to watch The Simpsons, and for a while that became my TV obsession. Bart, Homer, Lisa, they were my cartoon family. Then came summer of 2001. A sleepover at my friend's house. We stayed up late until 10 p.m., which at that age felt forbidden. We caught a rerun of South Park on Comedy Central, and just like that, my first real episode. Something You Can Do With Your Finger, the boy band parody. Honestly, a perfect entry point, because we knew that world. NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, that was everywhere at the time. But what really blew me away wasn't the parody, it was the swearing. I had never heard kids curse like this before. I was used to Bart Simpson getting away with hell or damn, but Cartman was on another level. It felt dangerous. It felt like something I wasn't supposed to be watching, and then that made it awesome. And then Kenny dies. This is the one he gets squished by the elevator at the mall. Classic. But the night didn't end there. Flipping through channels, we saw South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was airing on one of the movie channels. We couldn't believe it. We turned it on, and it was a musical. The songs were hilarious. It felt like we were getting away with something. Until my friend's mom came in. We had to change the channel and go to bed. But the next day we bragged. We told everyone at school we saw the South Park movie, just like the boys brag about Terrence and Phillip. Life imitating art. I don't think I caught the show again until 2003, but that was the year everything changed because I finally got a TV in my room. Now I could sneak it on late at night without my parents knowing. This was season 7, and I caught the 100th episode live. I'm a little bit country. And I'll never forget how weird it felt to see a cartoon directly tackling the invasion of Iraq, because it was happening right then. Up until then, I thought cartoons couldn't be that timely. I knew from the DVD extras that The Simpsons took a year to produce. So how was South Park reacting this fast? Of course now we know, 6 days, the famous 6-day turnaround, but back then that was mind-blowing. By the mid-2000s, I was in middle school, and honestly this was peak South Park, seasons 8 through 10. Some of the strongest episodes the show ever had. Every Thursday at lunch, the boys would debrief, we'd laugh about what happened the night before. If it wasn't sports, if it wasn't video games, it was South Park. It was a bonding ritual, a cultural handshake. That carried into high school too, seasons 11 through 14. I remember the 200th episode airing during my senior year, and the chaos it caused, because Trey and Matt once again tried to depict the Prophet Muhammad. The whole thing felt dangerous, like the show was poking at something no one else would touch. Then came college, seasons 15 through 18. We'd watch it in the dorms, huddle around a laptop or TV, and every week, whatever insanity had happened in the news, South Park had something to say about it. And it was always the funniest conversation in the room. As I got older, graduated college, entered the workforce, met the love of my life, South Park never went away. Through the pandemic, through getting married, through everything life has thrown at me, the show was still there. Sure, there were some rough patches, season 20 in particular. The 2016 election year, they tried serialization and it backfired when reality outpaced them. But even then, even in the weaker seasons, there's always something worth watching. And now in 2025, it feels like the show is more urgent than ever. It's back in the cultural conversation in a way I haven't seen in years, and compared to SNL, it's sharper, faster, and more fearless. And the funny thing, now my parents, the same people who once would have banned me from watching it, are suddenly curious about what's going on down in South Park. I've gotten older, but in some ways I'm still that same kid in the cafeteria, laughing with my friends, bonding over a cartoon that refuses to fade away.